Sometimes as a DP, you'll light a shot, you'll step back, you look at the monitor and just go, it's not quite right, or it's flat, or it's uninteresting. And it's usually just a few minor tweaks to get it to where it needs to be or to spice it up. So I thought I'd compile a list of some of the tips and tricks that I use to add interest to my shots and to my scenes. And in reality are just some of the fundamentals of cinematography and being a cinematographer. The number one thing I see missing the most in fresh cinematographers' work is separation. This is probably the easiest way to make your shots look more interesting. If it's a hair light or an edge light or a room opener or a practical, or if it's not lighting, even framing elements, having foreground elements, having a drastic difference between your foreground and your background elements. Essentially just creating separation with the elements that are in your shot. And the real bread and butter is if you can incorporate multiple of these elements into your shots and not have any of them stick out too much in particular. Cinematography is just about serving the story. If it's distracting, it's distracting. And I don't just mean lighting contrast. This also includes color contrast, lighting intensity contrast, framing contrast, movement contrast. You can think of all art, not just cinematography, as two opposing forces. It's a contrast between two different elements. If you have a mixed color temperature lighting, you have warm versus cool. You have this color versus that color. If you have a two-shot with one character sitting very close and one sitting very far away, you could do something very much like the shot that I have going on right now, where it's light and dark. If you have more ideas that are specific to cinematography, put them down in the comments below. Having a control of your frame, understanding all the different exposure levels, is just something that you train over time. One of the best things I think that you can do as a starting out DP or as a DP just in general is to be able to walk into a room and start to train your eye to understand exposure levels, that you can make an accurate plan of what you need and where it needs to go. And one of the things that make great cinematographers' work look so fantastic, their ability to control all of the exposure levels. And you can get more technical with this too. You can understand your 18% gray, you can understand histogram, and understand if you still have information on the chart, you can technically slightly underexpose, but it'll work out in the color grade. This also is really helpful for people in post, colorists and for editors. If you expose the shots properly, they don't have to do so much to fix it afterwards. Do not fix it in post, do it on set. Sometimes you'll have a scene where it's just two characters sitting at a table talking to each other, and this is just going to call for a master shot, single. Super standard, see it a lot, and a lot of the time this is just what it's going to be. And a lot of the time, basics work better than you creating something that's unnecessary and doesn't serve the story. But remember to be an artist. Remember to be a cinematographer. Pick a shot that you wouldn't have done otherwise, or experiment with something because it may serve the story better, and especially do it if it serves the story better than the standard that you normally do. For cinematographers that are working but are kind of doing the same thing over and over again, we'll kind of get the same formula and it starts to get really boring, or it starts to look mundane, and you start to slip into standard setup, standard result. Standard in equals standard out. Sometimes you'll just be completely torn on how to spice up a shot. You don't know what to do, and it's really as simple as asking the production designer, can we throw some practicals in there? Or can we color that wall? Can we do something PD-wise to spice up this shot? You never know. By them doing that, it can spark some sort of creative idea of a new motivation for a light, or some new color temperature, or something. If you can, plan with your PD in pre-production, let them know what you need, and in return, show off their work. It's a win-win. Good PD makes your work look better, always. Sometimes you'll know exactly what the issue is, but you haven't quite had the chance to pour your fourth coffee of the day. Creative juices aren't quite flowing. The solution, outsource to your team. Go and ask your gaffer what they think. Better yet, tell them what it is that you need and let them go and figure it out. A lot of the time they're going to come up with a solution that was far better than anything I was going to come up with. It ends up getting the team feeling more involved, which is really helpful down the road. In worst case scenario, what they came up with doesn't work, then you start brainstorming. Or if you can both collectively agree that shot isn't working, then you can change it. At the end of the day, there are plenty of tried and true methods to up your cinematography in a substantial way, but the best way to create stunning work is to study other cinematographers and other artists in general. Find inspiration, save stills, create a mental catalog. You'll end up walking on a set, you'll have an inspiration in the back of your head. You can see working, one thing leads to another, and you end up setting up something in a completely unconventional way that works and looks stunning. So these are the major tips that have helped me grow as a cinematographer, and I thought would be helpful for you and your work. But of course, you might want to know some more cinematography specifics and techniques. A place to start would be the video that I created on soft lighting. Soft lighting is the bread and butter of any DP worth their salt. I don't think it takes a DP to understand that soft lighting looks really good, so check out that video. Anyways, ciao.